Setup Nation. Cubs fans everywhere, I just can't believe this. Cody Bellinger is headed to the IL with fractured ribs. And honestly, I'm doing a live of this because I just need a therapy session. Like, I just need to talk this out because who opened up the umbrella in the Cubs clubhouse? Who broke glass? Who picked up the penny with the tails upside? This is the most unlucky start to a season from a health standpoint. Very lucky, very blessed to be at a 14-9 record with all of the bang ups that the Cubs have right now. But if you're here, like, let's just have a little bit of a therapy session here together because I can't believe this. Just as the Cubs are getting healthy, Justin Steele has a live batting practice session. Then you have Jameson Taillon come back, and he just is electric in his first outing back through through first pitch strikes to the first 15 batters was nails. You start to see, okay, they're starting to get back together. Looks like maybe some guys are getting put into bullpen pieces like Ben Brown that could help out the bullpen. And then, the Kyle Hendricks thing, the Drew Smiley thing, I think we can read between the lines on that. But Seiya, Julian Merriweather, Cody Bellinger, Justin Steele. I mean, it's just crazy. It is now. We are 23 games into the season, and you have arguably 4 of your top 6, 7 players on the team are on the injured list now. And I have even worse news, because if any of you out there are like, well, he was in really good spirits yesterday, which, by the way, can we talk about that for a second? He straight up said that the x-rays were negative yesterday and that the pain was dull. Like, was there just so much inflammation that the x-rays couldn't get it? I don't understand how that works. Was there an x-ray? I mean, we don't even have to really go that deep into it. But if you were sitting there thinking yourself like, oh, hey, at least, he's in good spirits and maybe it won't be that big of a deal. Well, let's just take a look at this. According to CBS, which is reporting on the Cody Bellinger story, and this is by RJ Anderson, published 26 minutes ago. According to this article, it's unclear how long Bellinger will be absent from the Cubs lineup, but Baseball Prospectus Recovery Database indicates that players who suffer a fractured rib tend to miss more than 50 days on average. This is an average. So are there some that miss 30 days? Maybe. Are there some that miss 90 days? Probably. There's no way of knowing if Bellinger will conform to that number, but it's certainly possible that he misses most, if not all, of May. We're not even in May, and we're already talking about Bellinger missing all of May. If you're in the live right now, drop a comment. I don't even know what to ask you to comment. Here's a question. Can you think of any season to start the season or even in the middle of the season that has been more unlucky from a health standpoint in the numbers that we've seen from the Cubs in any other season? Now, I remember the Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood years where you relied so much on them, right? Going into the season, if Pryor and Wood are healthy, man, this team is going to be unstoppable. And then they both get hurt, but that's two guys. We're talking about your ace. We're talking about arguably your best. Now that we've started to see Alzolay and some of the other guys like Nectar, Neris out, we've started to see some of these bullpen guys not be as good as they were last year, not be as good as we thought. So arguably your best bullpen arm in Julian Merriweather is out. Seiya Suzuki, your most reliable bat really through the first close to 15 games, is out. And now Cody Bellinger, as he was starting to hit, I mean, Cody Bellinger, I'm going to bring up some of the numbers. He was finally starting to find the bat a little bit. And then this happens, man. I mean, I can't even think about it. So, I mean, we're going to talk about what the outfield situation looks like here in a second. But in his last 5 games, yeah, I mean, this was good. He was really starting to, you could tell he was coming around. I'm going to share my screen again here. In his last 5 games, Bellinger was starting to look really, really good. Let me know if you're in the room here. Say what's up. Tell me what your thoughts are on this Cody Bellinger injury, and when is the last time you could think of the Cubs having this unlucky of a start to the season from a health perspective? I mean, look at this. From the last 5 games, Cody Bellinger, you've got 3 home runs. Let's go ahead and add this all. It's not going to let me do it. You got 3 home runs. You got, he was 1 for 3, 1 for 3, 1 for 4, 2 for 4 last night. So he had a nice back-to-back 2 for 4 games. He had a nice 5-game hitting streak. 1 for 3 last night. Sorry. I got those ones reversed. This was a guy who was starting to come around. He was starting to come around. And now to see this, it's just so disappointing. Again, if you guys missed it, Cody Bellinger is headed to the IL with a fractured rib. So thinking about the outfield situation now, the Cubs have called up PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong. I don't imagine Pete Crow Armstrong, with the way that he was hitting in Iowa, is going to get much of a shot from a starting lineup perspective. In fact, Craig Counsell said on 670 The Score that he's going to be in a limited role. So he's filling a need right now. So to me, the way that this looks at the moment, you've got Happ in left, you've got Tauchman in center. Thank God Tauchman's bat has come around as well. If you have Tauchman not playing so well, then you've got really big issues. But his bat has really took a big jump here in the last couple days, last couple weeks, really. We'll look at some of those numbers. And then you got Canario in right. Who am I missing? Am I missing anyone? Outfield. You got Canario, Tauchman, Happ. I feel like I'm missing someone. Help me out. If you're there in the chat, why am I not thinking of this person? PCA time. Hi. What's up, Jake? What's up, Andrew? I'm going to just have to look up the Cubs roster, Cubs 26-man roster, because I feel like I'm missing someone right now. Talk about a brain fart. Either way, I think you're seeing Canario in right for the most part. Yeah, they literally have Patrick Wisdom listed as an outfielder right now. So no, I'm not missing someone. That's just how depleted our outfield is at the moment. I really thought I was missing someone. They got Patrick Wisdom listed as an outfielder right now instead of an infielder. So, maybe you see Patrick Wisdom in right field against lefties, right? I'm thinking if we are going to talk about a righty-lefty platoon here, you're now seeing Wisdom in right, Canario in center. Ugh, not a huge fan of that. And Happ in left. And then hopefully now Seiya Suzuki is already coming back, and he's got some light baseball activities, as they've called it. But that's, you don't want to mess with an oblique. So that's the thing, right? You're going to be looking at probably, again, an early to mid-May return for Suzuki. This is going to be rough for the outfield for a little bit here. But if Canario's bat can be good, if you can have Tauchman hitting the way that he's been hitting, we're going to take a look at that right now. Mike Tauchman in his last, let's see, he started kind of getting on a roll here right around this time. In his last 6 games, is hitting 450 with a 1376 OPS. This is in 20 at-bats, and he's found something. So far this season, the numbers have been good. We keep seeing a few people saying the spring of Tauchman, which I like. 283 batting average, 887 OPS. These are the numbers really that you wanted from Bellinger, and he wasn't really producing that. But now at this point, you're relying on Tauchman to be your Bellinger, and that's going to be really rough. That's asking Mike Tauchman to do a lot. So let me know out there. Do you want to see Mike Tauchman getting the majority of time in center field, or would you rather see PCA getting the chance to, show what he's got? Last year in 14 plate appearances was 14 at bats. I think it was 19 plate appearances. It was not good from PCA. And in Iowa this year, he's batting 203. It's not like you're calling up a PCA that's lighting the entire field on fire. So to me, this is going to be probably a guy that is going to get some defensive opportunities later in games. Tachman is probably going to get the majority of center field against righties, and then probably Canario the majority of center field against lefties, and PCA coming in defensive situations. It wasn't good for Michael Busch either, and look at what Busch is doing. What wasn't good for Michael Busch, Jake? I'm not sure I'm following you there. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Would you rather see PCA get full-time in center field, or would you rather see a little bit of a platoon situation in center? His at-bats on the Dodgers. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And, I think with Mervis being called up the other night too, that's another situation where, he really didn't get a shot last year. Mervis and Busch are kind of in the same category there. They didn't get a real shot last year. And now you're seeing Busch doing his thing. I fully expect to see Mervis do better. Craig Brindle says time for PCA to get that Mason Miller trade value up. Oh, yeah. I mean, come in and perform like that and then send him over to the A's for Mason Miller. That'd be interesting. Top prospect for top prospect. I think I even said to you yesterday, Craig, that's a bold strategy. Especially with the way that all these guys are going with their arm injuries and pitchers and everything. That concerns me even more. But I don't like here's the positive side of this. We didn't think Ben Brown was ready for the majors, right? He got called up on the second day after Justin Steele goes down. Boom, gets an opportunity, and he makes the most of it. We didn't even know if Alexander Canario was quite ready. Yeah, he'd been sent down to AAA, wasn't really doing a whole lot. But hey, Suzuki goes down, call him up. I wouldn't say made the most of it. He hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities, but he's done a really great job if we're going to evaluate it on a small sample size. So does PCA follow that trend? Hey, he wasn't doing a whole lot in AAA, but he gets his opportunity a little bit early because of an injury. We'll see. I would hope that happens, and all I know is that someone has to step up. Ian Happ needs to hit like he was hitting towards the end of last year. You need to see Mike Tauchman keep on hitting the way that he did last night and for the last 6 games. You need to see Canario turn up the bat and do that consistently. You need to now see as well Morel pick up the pace. Your number 3 and number 4 batters, or number 2 and number 3 batters to start the season are now gone. Christopher Morel is playing an amazing third base, but he has been dog crap in the batter's box. It has not been good ever since about game 11. His last 12 games or so have just been terrible. And if we're going to talk about guys that need to step up, I think it needs to be Christopher Morel. I think it needs to be Michael Busch. Thank God Nico is hitting well again. And you know what? With as much as this team has been injured, I was just talking to a buddy about it earlier today. Going into yesterday, the Cubs were 13-9 in 2023 and 2024. Both have the same records in both years. Do you remember last year when we were 13-9? Man, this team is off to a great start. Man, they're doing so well. Man, this has been awesome. They were overperforming at 13-9. This team is underperforming at 13-9. And because they're underperforming at 13-9 and have a bunch of guys injured, that's even more so why I believe this is a 90+ win team. Ideally, I don't want to be so crazy to say 95 wins, but that's the pace that the second half Cubs were on last year. They were on pace for 95 wins. If you were to start the season on June 9th of last year, that team was on pace for 95 wins. When you see that this team is winning over 60% of their games with guys like Steele, Suzuki, Merriweather, and now Bellinger out, we'll see if they keep that pace. There's reason to believe that this is a team that should not only be playoff bound, but should be making huge moves at the trade deadline to be a serious contender in the playoffs this year. 85 Decibel says, we'll have the best defense up the middle in all of baseball. The Cubs need to scratch 4 runs a game. Let the defense do the rest. Hey, 100%. And the fact that Morel and Michael Busch are playing a great corner infield as of recently, there's no reason to say this isn't the best defensive team in baseball if you have PCA out there in center field. But yeah, I mean, even more concerned though, Bellinger barely hit the bricks, and PCA, you've seen those highlights. He's going face planting into walls, but those are padded walls. I'm worried about that kid. Craig, you might not be crazy. Send PCA out to Oakland where you got a huge outfield and padded walls, and bring in Mason Miller to be our closer. Maybe it's good for PCA's future too. Who knows? I'm just thinking if there's anything else I want to say about this. I feel like I've therapized myself, if that is a word, enough to feel better about this. But it's just such bad luck here. Such bad luck to start the season. But thank goodness they're 14-9, and this team is overperforming at this point. And you are going to see Justin Steele be back in this rotation in the beginning of May / maybe middle of May. You are going to see Seiya Suzuki back in there, hopefully earlier than expected. You are going to see Julian Merriweather at some point, but probably not until the summer, back in the back end of the bullpen. And if those things line up correctly, then in the meantime, Ben Brown, once Justin Steele comes back in, is probably going to be a high leverage guy at the later part of the bullpen, which is exactly what they need right now. So some things can fall into place, but you need guys like Morel and Bush stepping up right now. So we'll see how long. We'll see what the diagnosis is. But again, if you just joined us, the average fractured rib DL/IL stint, most players are missing at least 50 days, which is just terrible. And you know what? I've got one other thing to say, and I try not to be superstitious, but if y'all saw, Cole Wright after the game yesterday straight up said that he went up to Bellinger before the game yesterday and said, hey, just to remind you, this is the team that you hurt yourself on last year and we're out for a month. And Cody Bellinger responded to that saying, yeah, I'm going to try to avoid the wall tonight. And then he misses a fly ball in the sky, and the baseball gods and the mindset and manifestation gods come down and rain upon him and say, you're going to try to avoid that wall if my life depends on it. And here's what happens. Good point here, by the way, before we log off from Craig. Will Brennan Davis get a chance? Brennan had a great start to the spring. Of course, more bad luck from him. You talk about a guy with bad luck. Got hit in the head. Precautionary concussion situation there. Then he started the year in single A, and now he's back up with triple A. I think he needs a few more games, but if PCA is not producing, I would not be surprised if Brennan gets his first shot with the Cubs in the majors. That would be awesome. And Roger, yeah, I don't understand. Yesterday, he said x-rays were negative. I don't understand it either. I don't know how x-rays work, but my only thought is because his pain was dull, is there any chance that, there was just some fluid or something going on there that was blocking x-rays? I don't think that's how x-rays work. I'm not going to try to be a doctor. I just don't understand how x-rays can be negative, and then the next day it's like, oh, never mind. Maybe I don't know. He slept on it even wrong and it made it even worse. Who knows? Jake says, I hope Brennan gets a chance. He's had a good rehab stint in South Bend so far. Yeah, he did just get called up to AAA Iowa the other day. So a step forward for him. Guys, if you didn't already comment and subscribe, make sure that you are checking us out. We did have Taylor McGregor on the show yesterday. Go check out that episode. And we've got a lot of great guests coming up here in the month of May that we will be making you aware of. So got to survive, got to hold on for dear life. It sucks. It really does. So for now, we'll just sulk for a little bit, but hope that the Cubs can pick up the pace, pick up the slack while Bellinger, Suzuki, Merriweather, Steele, Hendricks, Smiley all get healthy. All right. Thanks for joining in, guys. Craig, Jake, Roger, 85 decibels, Andrew. Thank you. And for those of you that didn't comment, please make sure that you do at some point. And thank you for joining. Talk to you guys later.